Yo, what's good Instagram? What's good YouTube? This is just gonna be a quick little IG live video. I'm gonna flip a tarot card for all of the signs in regards to Uranus and Taurus and sort of where Uranus is going to be in your natal chart. I'm just gonna let this room fill up slightly. This is an Instagram live video, even though it will be shared to my YouTube. So with that being said, I'm just gonna wait a second here and just kind of let the room fill up. Hi. Hello. This is going to be a Uranus and Taurus little tarot spread. I'm just going to flip a card for each one of the signs in regards to how the Uranus and Taurus transit is going to affect you. I'm doing really well. How are you? For those of you that view this on YouTube, when it's shared on there, La Bruja Taina on Instagram, definitely give her a follow. She is a fantastic tarot reader, clairvoyant. Her videos are hysterical. She's got lots of spiritual insight and wisdom. Definitely follow her. Awesome page for sure. Thank you. I'm just gonna sort of let a few people come into the room so that, if anyone has any questions or if anyone would like a card flipped for them, I will definitely go into that. But all right, actually, I think I will just get started for the purposes of sharing this video to other platforms. So, with that being said, let's see here. Oh my God. All right, so Aries sun, Aries rising. I've got the Emperor. So this is pretty ironic here just because, the Emperor is the energy archetype of Aries. It literally is the Aries energy. So with that being said, Aries, I can see this being sort of a new beginning for you guys just because Taurus is in your second house, which is what you value. So your values are going to be infused with this sort of innovative, genius archetypal energy, which is very much what Uranus is, and what Uranus is going to spell in Taurus is definitely just going to overhaul some of our value systems. So Aries, you can definitely look forward to some new beginnings in terms of what you value, in terms of your relationships to money. You might be going into different careers at this time. You might have a new job that presents itself. But ultimately, I would definitely be a little bit weary of your spending, Aries, just because the very nature of Uranus is that it's very erratic. So there can be, the propensity for just sudden changes in regards to the things that you value and the things that you possess, your possessions. So with that being said, Taurus now, if you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus rising, that means that, Uranus is going to be in your first house, and I drew Judgment for that. So Judgment is the archetypal energy of Pluto. With that being said, Taurus, sometimes people look at the Judgment card and give it these negative energies and connotations. The same thing with astrologers and people that know the energy of Pluto. With that being said, though, it really is this dark sort of energy, but ultimately it brings about kind of, destruction so that it can rebuild things a little bit better. It is kind of similar to the Tower in that light, at least through the lens of astrology and the lens of that card being ruled by Pluto. But Taurus, I think that this is just going to be a very profound time for you in general, because with Uranus in your first house, your personality is going to sort of be overhauled just a bit. There's going to be kind of a revolution of self for you. It's going to be a very powerful transit. It's definitely important to realize that Uranus stays in a sign for 7 years. So, Taurus, it is going to be sort of a gradual sort of progression for you, even though with Uranus ruling sudden changes, there is this kind of, it can kind of go either way for you. Having it, in that house, in your first house, it can be make or break for you, where, you overhaul your personality. You might be doing different haircuts and different personal styles throughout the transit. You might be redefining who you are several times. Again, that's not necessarily the energy of judgment, but through the lens of it being Pluto, which is pretty much how I like to do my tarot, being an astrologer. I think that is certainly something that you can look out for. With that being said, Gemini rising, I drew the Fool for you guys. So with that being said, Taurus is going to be in your 12th house, Gemini. So having Taurus in your 12th house means Uranus is going to be in your 12th house. So, this is going to be a time when you become kind of spiritually charged. You might be having some inner revelations and breakthroughs. In the lens of the tarot and astrology, though, the Fool is the archetypal energy of Uranus. It's sort of this divine energy that is not yet self-aware. It just sort of acts and does as it sees fit in the present moment. It does also indicate sort of this, limitless sort of pool of energy is kind of what the Fool indicates as well. So, for you guys having this in your 12th house transits are really profound in that the 12th house is kind of hidden from you. The 12th house is ruled by Neptune, and it's this energy that is very much not rooted in reality. It's not very tangible. It's very elusive, very illusionary. So with that being said, 12th house transits are huge because they get you ready for a first house transit, which, when things go into the first house, they're more tangible. It's more something that you can see on the surface. The first house is the first thing that people see when they look at you. So in order to sort of have those huge sort of breakthroughs and overhauls of your personality and who you are, you first have to cleanse sort of any psychic garbage that you might have. And that's very much what Uranus is going to do for you, Gemini. It's going to speed up your subconscious efforts to get rid of those things that no longer serve you. So this is going to be a very spiritual transit for you, Gemini. Definitely watch out for that. Some of you Geminis are very detached from your feelings and don't necessarily like to feel things like that. So definitely look out for those things. Be weary, be ready for them. It is going to be a profound sort of 7 years for you. Cancer, this is going to be a huge transit for you, Cancer. That is because, Taurus is in your 11th house, and the 11th house is ruled by Uranus and Aquarius. So with that being said, Cancer, you're going to be doing lots of networking. There's just going to be a lot of energy infused into your life where all of a sudden you're doing things to kind of do for the collective. Hi, Sydney. You might not have been interested in humanitarian pursuits before this transit, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you realize you want to start a nonprofit and you want to help homeless people, or you want to build sort of, an Instagram page that shares and other Instagram pages together to kind of do some collective humanitarian kind of work. So Cancer, definitely look out for that. I drew the 5 of Wands for you, Cancer. With that being said, what this card is just kind of telling me for you guys is that Cancer, you typically are a little bit more of a homebody. You're not necessarily that Aquarian archetypal energy. So now that you will be infused with sort of those 11th house situations, there can be the opportunity for you to have conflict with the people that you work with. Cancer, you're very moody. Some people might call you bitchy, but really you're just in tune with your emotions. You know how you feel and you know how to stand up for what you feel. So that could cause some conflict. Cancer, I would just say try hard to not be in your feelings when it comes to your Aquarian endeavors during this time, in order to sort of avoid some of these things happening where you're not getting along with other people and your efforts to work in the collective are not, sort of going your way because people might rub you the wrong way. Cancer, you're also very psychic and you sort of know what people are thinking at times without them saying it. You're one of those signs, along with Scorpio especially, and also Pisces, that can look at someone and also hear something that they say, but hear so much more at the same time than just what they said in the first place. So, with that being said, Cancer, definitely just be mindful and weary of that. With that being said, Leo rising. This is profound because I drew the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles essentially is the pentacle, the earth energy at its purest form, before it really turns into anything else. This is just earth energy. Also, this card presents the opportunity to have some material and some monetary gain, but it's a slow moving process, Leo. So this tells me over this 7-year period, while you have Uranus in your 10th house, it's going to be a really, the energy for you to really expand your career is going to be there. Uranus will support you in your career works if you are doing things for the collective. If you are someone who started your own business and you're going about how you make money in an untraditional sort of Aquarian kind of way, then Uranus more than likely will support that for you, Leo. You might have been sort of, in your own business, in work for yourself, and over the last few years your business might not have been doing all that well, and then all of a sudden Uranus goes in that house and then boom, it's like a flash of electricity, and all of the pursuits and all of the energy that you put into that area of your life, your career, all of a sudden you'll start to see the benefits and reap the rewards. So any sort of entrepreneurship venture that you can do that is sort of untraditional, and that you're using your resources and linking those resources with that of others, those sort of career doings will definitely thrive during this time. So definitely, stay tuned for that. Be mindful of that. Virgo, if you are a Virgo sun, Virgo rising, the Taurus is the 9th house from Virgo. So, with that being said, you're going to have, these sudden changes and innovative energies in your house of expansion, in your house that wants you to, go to school and further yourself through the lens of education, spirituality, culture, different languages, experiencing different foods and different people, traveling, lots of traveling for you, Virgo. Definitely be ready for that. I drew the Page of Wands for you, Virgo. So this pretty much tells me that, your already bookish nature is going to be expanded like a lot, especially just being that this is the 9th house of expansion, of kind of higher education, philosophy, spirituality. Virgo, I very much see you kind of going back into your studies and moving very quickly in the areas that are associated with that. Definitely some travel in store for you as well, Virgo. You might end up going to a different country to live, going to a different school, a school in a different country. Anything on an international scale is definitely something that could be in store for you, Virgo. Libra. Libra. So Taurus is the 8th house from Libra. So, the 8th house rules other people's money, death, taxes, things of that nature. Libra, you might receive an inheritance during this time. Your partner might lose their job during this time. Libra, this is a very great time for you to sort of detach from other people's resources and other people's money, because at this time there is sort of the opportunity for the people that you rely on to kind of drop the ball a little bit. Not necessarily like it's going to be their fault, or like they're not holding their weight, but sometimes things happen in life and we aren't necessarily prepared for them. With that being said, Libra, I drew the Knight of Pentacles for you. So with that being said, the Knight of Pentacles is unlike the other knights in that it moves very slowly. As you can see, sorry, I just got rid of that, but as you can see here, it's unlike the other knights in that this horse is not moving. With this card, there is the opportunity for a vast monetary gain, but it's an energy that dispels itself over very long periods of time, Libra. So you might need to become a little bit more patient when it comes to manifesting money into the material realm. But with that being said, your business partnerships and your marriage partnerships, your sort of dealings with other people's money, your joint finances are definitely going to go through some overhauls. And again, the very nature of Uranus is that you can never truly predict what it does and how it's going to function. So just be mindful of that. Maybe save some money. If you are someone who relies on a partner's money, definitely be ready for that. With that being said, Scorpio, if you're a Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising, you have Taurus in your 7th house. With that being said, I drew the Chariot. The Chariot is the archetypal energy of Cancer. What I am getting from that message, Scorpio, is that these sudden changes that are coming for you, and I'm a Scorpio rising, so this applies to me. These sudden changes that are going to come into your business partnerships, into your marriage, into your partnerships, into your agreements and contracts with other people, it's going to be a situation where you can kind of get in your feelings because your partner is more than likely going to be a lot more detached than you are at this time. Uranian energy is very detached. Uranian energy, it's not necessarily the most monogamous sort of energy. It's very much about the group effort. So if you're expecting sort of old traditional partnerships, the way that Cancer likes to be loved, Cancer wants that perfect house with the white picket fence and the family and all of those things. So having Taurus in your 7th house, Scorpio, you're going to want to adjust your sort of expectations in terms of your love life and just sort of be mindful that Uranus wants you to be sort of Aquarian during this time. You might kind of have a situation where you have a lover that travels a lot for work. You might be traveling a lot for work, and it might be a little bit more difficult to sort of make the relationship work just because of that. So just be mindful of that, Scorpio. Maybe lower your expectations and just become a little bit more fluid in them. With that being said, we move on to Sagittarius. If you're a Sagittarius sun or rising, that means you have Taurus in the 6th house, which rules, work, money, not necessarily money, but work, your day-to-day work activities. With that being said, I drew the 4 of Pentacles, lots of Pentacles today, which is interesting because Taurus rules money. So with the 4 of Pentacles, Sagittarius, I would say, this is a time where you're going to be working a lot. Your work life is going to be very sporadic. You're already someone that travels a lot and does a lot of fluctuating in their life, because Sagittarius very rarely sit still or stay in the same place for very long. With that being said, you're going to be channeling a lot of that energy into your work life during this transit. So there will be some stability that comes with your money and your monetary gains from the transit. With that, you might end up hoarding some of that money, because you do have Taurus in the sixth house, which can be very frugal. It can be very stubborn. The only thing I will caution you on is that Uranus does not reward rigidity. Rigidity. It doesn't like, these firm, immovable sort of energies and situations. It likes to shake those up. It doesn't like foundations. It likes fluidity. So definitely keep that in mind. Capricorn Sun, Capricorn rising. You have Taurus in your fifth house, Capricorn. So anything related to children, conceiving, nurturing them, launching them into the world, fertility, all of these things can definitely undergo a lot of change. Your creative natures can definitely undergo a lot of change during this time as well. You know, having Taurus in your fifth house with Uranus there, it's definitely going to impact your love life, your romantic life, especially in the lens of short romances, that stage of romance before you become a partnership, before you solidify things and give it more of a label. With that being said, I drew the Six of Wands for you guys. So Capricorn, I think this is going to be a great time for you. The fifth house is Leo. It's a fire energy, and this is also fire. This card represents a victory. This is a very positive card for you, Capricorn. It's going to be a positive transit for you. And it makes sense because you have Saturn and Pluto in your sign right now. I'm a Capricorn. I have 5 planets in Capricorn, so I'm very much looking forward to this. I hope there is a victory in sight for me. Actually, I know there will be. I hope that extends to all of you as well, Capricorn. With that being said, let's go to Aquarius. Aquarius, this is going to be really big for you because Uranus is your ruling planet. So with that being said, this transit is going to affect you in a way that it doesn't necessarily affect a lot of other people. So with that being said, Aquarius, you have Taurus in the 4th house. The 4th house rules the home, and it's basically the foundation of your chart. So with that being said, Aquarius, I would look for changes in the home. You might be traveling a lot. Any sort of traditional home like energy is definitely not what's going to come to fruition for you. You're going to want to be very fluid and open to change during this time, because Uranus is going to be in the house and in the sign that sort of adds structure to your life. So with that being said, I would definitely look for some of that. So also for Aquarius rising, your family situations might change during this time. You're someone who is already sort of detached from family life. And this can be a situation where, maybe your parents move during this time. Perhaps your parents all of a sudden pick up and move to a different country, or you pick up and move to a different country. These are things that can happen for you, Aquarius. I drew the Knight of Wands for you guys. So this is going to just be a time of charging forward, lots of movement, lots of activity. Definitely don't expect to stay in the same place for, too long for you guys. There's definitely going to be lots of expansion for you, not necessarily in a Sagittarian sense, but more so where you're able to use your Aquarian energy. Uranus being in Taurus is shaking up the foundations of this world, that kind of things that block you from being more Aquarian, things that prevent you from kind of doing things for the collective. So with that being said, we're going to move on to Pisces. Pisces rising, you have Taurus in your third house, which is your sort of day-to-day communications with other people. So with that being said, Pisces, you are an energy that is very misunderstood in this world. You are the ascended masters. You've lived everyone's lives, and you're sort of ready to move on during this time. So Pisces, this being in your third house of day-to-day communication with other people, it's definitely going to be profound in that you're sort of, especially with the rise of spirituality, Jupiter's in Scorpio right now, Neptune's in Pisces. Pisces, it's becoming more okay for you to be that ascended master. It's becoming okay for you to express the fullest, manifestation of who you are. Pisces, you're going to be stepping into a lot of your metaphysical pursuits during this transit. So look for your daily communications to be more of something that you do over the internet, where you're starting your spiritual businesses and you becoming sort of, ascended masters and teachers for the collective. With that being said, I drew the Ace of Cups for you guys. So this is the purest energy archetype of water. It indicates, boundless, watery, emotional potential. So Pisces, this is going to be a very fulfilling time for you, Pisces. I actually see this transit being very good for you guys. Pisces, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Scorpio is going to be a little bit tough because it's in your 7th house. So if you hold on to your heart a little too much and get in your feelings, it can be a little bit difficult. So definitely look out for that. With that being said, that is what I wanted to touch on today. I hope these cards were very helpful and very informative for you guys. With that being said, stay tuned for more videos from me. Please like my YouTube channel, subscribe as well. If you're on Instagram looking at this, the link to my website is in my bio. Definitely check out my website. And if you would like a reading from me, I offer all types of readings. Those are listed on my website as well. And I can definitely tell you how this transit of Uranus and Taurus will affect you specifically. Again, Uranus being the planet of ingenuity, genius, electricity, revolution, in the sign, of Earth, comfort, structure, rigidity, things of that nature. So without further ado, I bid you all farewell. Be well, love and light to all of you, and signing out from the Akashic Review. Peace.